Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to dive into the absolutely fascinating biological story of why waiting for a simple, everyday text message can suddenly feel like a life or death situation. Today, we're exploring the architecture of uncertainty and looking at how you can actually master your unknown mind. So, picture this incredibly common scenario. You've just applied for your absolute dream job, or maybe you're waiting on a doctor who casually said, "Hey, we'll know the results next week." And then days pass. Just absolute agonizing silence. You're sitting there, waiting for a message that just never seems to arrive. Pay attention to what happens in your body during this. Nothing bad has actually happened yet, right? But your heart is racing, you can't sleep, you can't focus on anything else, and your mind just keeps spinning these intense, worst-case scenarios out of nowhere. Which brings us to a really massive question. Why in the world do we fear uncertainty more than the actual bad news itself? Like, why does our mind treat a simple lack of information as an absolute five-alarm emergency? That takes us to section 1, the ancient brain, survival over happiness. You see, to truly understand our modern anxiety, we have to take a trip back thousands of years. Your ancient brain wasn't designed to make you happy or successful. Honestly, its only job was just to make sure you survived to see tomorrow. And here is where we hit this massive evolutionary mismatch. While our ancestors faced fatal physical predators, lions, unfamiliar shadows, rustling bushes, we react to everyday digital notifications and unread emails with the exact same biological panic. Literally, waiting for a text message biologically mimics being hunted by a wild animal. To survive all this, the human brain learned a very simple, hard and fast rule. Known dangers are way easier to manage than unknown ones. Think about it. If a lion is standing right in front of you, you know exactly what you have to do. You run, you fight, or you hide. But if you just hear an unknown noise in the bushes, well, your brain has to exhaustingly prepare for every single possibility. Is it just the wind, or is it a predator? There's this great saying that your brain absolutely hates empty spaces. Whenever information is missing, it immediately creates a story to fill the gap. When a friend doesn't reply right away, your brain just assumes they're ignoring you or that they're furious with you. Why? Because thousands of years ago, evolution heavily rewarded those who assumed the worst. Assuming danger was everywhere is literally what kept our ancestors alive. Moving on to section 2, the science of fear, the anticipation effect. Researchers have actually found that we experience significantly more stress, both physically and mentally, during the waiting period than we do when we finally receive the bad news. It's exactly like watching a horror movie. The scariest part isn't when the monster finally jumps out, right? It's that agonizing suspense right before. Because when you don't know what's coming, your imagination becomes so much more terrifying than reality. Your nervous system just locks into high alert, and your attention is completely trapped. Let's look at section 3, the modern uncertainty trap, a world of notifications. So the crazy thing is, our ancient survival hardware is now operating in a modern world where we really don't have to worry about predators hiding in the bushes anymore. The biological alarm going off inside us is exactly the same, but the triggers, they've changed completely. Instead of wild animals, we're agonizing over whether we'll lose our job, if a relationship is going to last, or if we're going to succeed. Every tiny delay, every endless email refresh, every social media update, they all act as these little micro-uncertainties. And without even realizing it, we are constantly training our minds to obsessively crave answers every single minute of the day. This brings us to probably the biggest mistake people make. It's known as the control illusion. Mentally strong people don't magically possess a crystal ball to see the future, and they definitely don't have fewer unknowns in their lives. They've just developed a really high tolerance for them. And honestly, it is such a huge relief to realize that life has never been 100% certain for anyone, not even the most successful people on Earth. Real confidence isn't about perfectly predicting the future. Confidence is simply trusting yourself to handle whatever happens. True mental peace isn't about eliminating every unknown for tomorrow. It's a completely different mindset. It's grounded entirely in trusting your own capability to adapt, adjust, and survive. Which brings us to section 4. Strategies for the unknown, retraining your brain. Okay, so how do we actually build this into actionable mastery? How do we stop this uncertainty from totally hijacking our minds and keeping us up at 2 a.m.? Well, we have 4 highly effective, concrete psychological strategies you can use right now to calm down those ancient survival instincts. We're going to separate facts from stories, focus on what we control, stop feeding uncertainty, and build resilience. Let's break these down.
For the very first step, you need to ask yourself 2 questions to immediately untangle objective reality from the exhausting narratives your brain keeps inventing. Ask, what do I actually know? Versus, what am I just imagining? Remember, the vast majority of your anxiety lives entirely inside the stories your ancient brain is furiously creating to fill in the blanks. It rarely lives inside the facts themselves.
Second, since you absolutely, positively cannot control final outcomes, you have to pour all your focus into what you can control. That means your preparation, your actions, your habits, your attitude, and your effort. Take complete ownership of your effort and make a conscious choice to just let the rest go. Third, we really have to stop the obsessive phone checking and symptom Googling, because every time you check your phone every 2 minutes, you are falsely signaling to your brain that a delayed text from your boss is a dangerous, life-threatening emergency. We have to stop feeding the fear. Practice waiting. You need to teach your brain that the lack of an immediate answer is not an actual emergency.
Finally, rather than desperately trying to figure out how to make your life completely predictable, which, let's face it, is a totally impossible task, ask yourself this empowering question instead. Ask, how can I become stronger? That right there is where genuine, lasting mental peace begins, because life is always, always going to surprise you. And finally, Section 5, the shift, reframing the unknown. As we wrap up this explainer, we need to completely flip our perspective on uncertainty. We really have to realize that it isn't actually the enemy we think it is. It's just a part of being alive. In fact, uncertainty is the birthplace of all new opportunities, deep relationships, future dreams, and personal growth. Every single amazing thing in your life only exists because the future hasn't been written yet. Yes, your brain evolved to fear uncertainty, but you do not have to blindly obey every fear your brain creates. The very next time your ancient brain hits that panic button over some modern unknown, I want you to physically slow down. Just pause. Take a deep breath. I'm going to leave you with this final, powerful question to carry with you. Ask yourself, am I reacting to reality or am I just reacting to uncertainty? That single question can change absolutely everything for you, because true courage isn't moving forward without fear. It's moving forward when the future is totally unclear. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious and keep seeking to understand your mind.